So guys, Nnamdi Kanu's case has been taken to the United States. His lawyers have dragged Donald Trump into Nnamdi Kanu's case again. They went to the United States to report to Donald Trump that the way the Nigerian government are violating Nnamdi Kanu's rights, his illegal adoption from Kenya to Nigeria, and the way they have been illegally detaining him. I will allow you guys, to watch this video and hear what the lawyers have to say, what they really told Donald Trump. And I'll be right back because they were really calling out the judges who have been handling Nnamdi Kanu's case for a very long time, who has refused to give a fair judgment. Guys, just watch this video and please drop your comments below if you're just coming across this channel for the first time. Guys, take a look at this video and I'll be right back.
Father, could you tell us what is being filed today and read the letter, the cover letter of this petition?
Thank you very much. Of course, my name is Reverend Father Dr. Augustine Odimegwa. We're here today to submit to the office of the President this Magnitsky Act that we're holding a couple of our judges and attorney generals responsible for the continued incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu in solitary confinement without trial, without due trial. The White House. 3. American Veterans of Igbo Descent, AVID, Rising Sun Charities Organization, and Ambassadors for Self-Determination submission against Nigerian jurists and the former Attorney General for sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act 22 USC. Dear Mr. President, of course, reading on behalf of Bruce Fine, representing American Veterans of Igbo Descent, Rising Sun Charities Organization, and Ambassadors for Self-Determination. All three are non-profit organizations substantially dedicated to monitoring gross violations of internationally recognized human rights, especially in Nigeria. Pursuant to the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act 22 USC and EO 13818. The three non-profit organizations urge Magnitsky sanctions against a quintet of Nigerian judges implicated in the persecution of Biafran leader Nnamdi Kanu for exercising his rights to free speech and association and a fair trial. The names include Justice Binta Murtala Nyaku, Justice Hama Simon Samani, Justice Hama Akawa Barka, and Justice Mohammed Lawal Garba, and former Chief Justice of Nigeria Olukayode Ariwola. They also seek Magnitsky sanctions against former Attorney General Malam Abubakar Malami. The violations include ongoing arbitrary detention as determined by the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, denial of the right to fair trial, judicial endorsement of Mr. Kanu's kidnapping, torture, and extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. Nigeria's protracted persecution of Nnamdi Kanu for peaceful advocacy of a self-determination referendum in Biafra commenced as early as 2015. In September 2017, Nigeria's military attempted to assassinate Nnamdi Kanu in his hometown. Many were murdered, but he managed to escape by a miracle. In June 2021, Mr. Kanu was kidnapped and tortured by Nigerian authorities in Nairobi, Kenya, followed by extraordinary rendition to Abuja, Nigeria. He has been detained in solitary confinement without trial and without proper access to lawyers. Ever since, the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention found on July 20, 2022, that Nnamdi Kanu's detention violated 16 international human rights covenants. It ordered his immediate and unconditional release and the reparations paid. Nigeria has flouted the working group decision for more than 3 years now. On October 26, 2022, the Federal High Court Umuahia declared Mr. Kanu extraordinary rendition unlawful and unconstitutional and awarded damages to him. On December 15, 2023, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, while acknowledging the Nigerian government's extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu as criminal, nevertheless decreed that the fruits of its crime, his detention and persecution, were legal.
Bruce, could you tell us about the severity of the violations of justice? I mean, just how gross of an injustice is this, and where did they go off the rails in regards to how they treat Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, a few pages of history often speaks volumes of logic here. The persecution really began even before the more recent kidnapping and torture in 2021. As far back as September in 2017, there's an attempted assassination through the military to kill Nnamdi and his family and friends. Nnamdi escaped by a miracle. His friends, many of them were killed. And all of this is in violation of the international human right to seek self-determination. Indeed, that right was announced almost 250 years ago in our American Declaration of Independence. The right to government by the consent of the governed. A right that every group enjoys around the world. It wasn't limited to the United States. And the fact is that the Biafrans never joined Nigeria. They were forced at the point of machine guns by the British in 1914 to amalgamate with other portions of Nigeria. But there wasn't any vote, and so there's no need to secede from an organization you never joined. And Nnamdi Kanu has been persecuted mercilessly by the Nigerian government for seeking to defend this right. Now, if we want to compare the persecution with others, Nelson Mandela is a nice benchmark. If you read his memoirs, on Robben Island when he was detained, he lived in a paradise compared to Nnamdi Kanu. He wasn't in solitary confinement. He actually taught and learned from universities with other inmates there. They had games. There wasn't anything like solitary confinement. He had access to lawyers. Nnamdi Kanu does not. He doesn't even have access to me. I've been 6 times. They say, no, Mr. Fine, you can't visit with him. Even the persons who visit with him, they can't take in any pencils, no papers. Everything is recorded. Everything is videoed. There's no privacy whatsoever. So again, if we want to take a comparison with Nelson Mandela, who ended up being not only a Nobel Peace Prize winner, but an international hero, he suffered far more grotesquely. And it's continuing to this very day after 4 years. Now, I'd like to amplify for our audience here as well, the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act empowers the president to identify foreigners who are guilty of gross violations of human rights, freeze their assets, and ban them from ever traveling to the United States. And that's what we're asking happen in this particular case with regard to the 6 individuals that we identified in our petition. Now, one of the other elements that comes from the Global Magnitsky listing is it's a stigma. It puts you in the same category as notorious, horrible human rights violators, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Kim Il-sung in North Korea, anyway, all the ones that you remember by reading in the newspapers. And we would hope that the Nigerians would wake up. This is simply the opening shot, if you will, of trying to obtain justice for Nnamdi Kanu. If others do not shape up and help and insist on his release, they will be on the list that we present to President Trump as well. And that ought to be a message that goes out to everyone in Nigeria who's been involved in this complete travesty of justice against Nnamdi Kanu. You will be our next petition if within the next short while Nnamdi Kanu is not free as he deserves to be under international law.
Bruce, can you expound on the teeth that are in the Magnitsky Act and just how deep can they go to both the individual and the country?
Well, the individuals can be banned from ever visiting the United States. They can't do business here. If they have any assets, they will be frozen. But the United States also can, under Magnitsky and related laws, impose embargoes. They can cut off, they can impose tariffs. We know Mr. Trump might slap 500% tariff on Nigeria in order to encourage them to release Nnamdi Kanu. They're almost a limitless array of sanctions, if you will. They could they could cut off all military supplies, which right now Nigeria is quite dependent upon the United States for a military supply. They should prevent them from getting access to World Bank loans or IMF loans. So there's a huge arsenal that the President of the United States wields to pressure Nigeria to doing the right thing. We don't want to go that way. Mr. Trump doesn't want to take the Nigerian people, who oftentimes suffer with the sanctions, down with the leaders. But after all, the leaders and the acquiescence of the people, especially the Fulani, are responsible for the plight of Nnamdi Kanu, and they need to take risks themselves in order to do the right thing. And say, well, I don't want to take a risk. The government will retaliate. Well, Nnamdi Kanu took a risk far greater than anybody's asking you to take. It's time to be accountable for your own country and your own compliance with international law and push back against the government of Nigeria that, again, has acted in dastardly criminal fashion for at least 40 years. And I want to underscore what the government did is a crime. Think of this obtuseness. Nnamdi Kanu is being prosecuted by the criminal organization that captured and prosecuted him. It's the government should be prosecuted by Nnamdi Kanu, not the other way around. And when that happens, we know that justice will have prevailed.
Does the president have the power to actually punish countries doing business with Nigeria? I mean, how far do those teeth go?
No, I mean, we can see right now with regard to the use of the tariffs,
yes.
If you call tariffs, punitive tariffs, 100, 200%, the answer is yes. The president does have that authority under emergency powers and existing sanctions that Congress has allocated to the executive branch to do.
So guys, I'm going to be telling you guys, the key point why these lawyers really went to the United States to meet Donald Trump based on Nnamdi Kanu's, case. Now, by going to the United States and speaking to inflation figures like Trump, they want to create pressure on Nigeria's government. The hope is that global leaders will see Kanu as a victim of injustice and demand his release. Another thing is they are framing his detention as a violation of human rights. If they succeed in getting the US or other countries to officially recognize him as unlawfully detained, it could affect Nigeria's image internationally. Now, going to Trump, a former United States president and also the same president they have currently now, is a strong political figure. It's a strategy because Trump has influence over certain groups and could amplify their message if he chooses, to support it. Just like we've been hearing before, we've been hearing that the US is world power. So they feel that, okay, now the US is world power, then Trump has he has the strategy, everything to release Nnamdi Kanu, especially when he comes into Nnamdi Kanu's case. Now, some people see this as a smart move to internationalize the struggle, while others think it may not have much effect since Nigeria is a sovereign state and may resist foreign interference. Inside Nigeria, the case is legal, involving courts and the government. But what the lawyers are doing is more of a political diplomatic move, trying to win sympathy and apply outside in Nigeria. Now, it shows determination on the part of his legal team. What the lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu are doing today, it shows the way they are determined, to release Nnamdi Kanu. They are not limiting the fight to Nigerian courts alone. However, whether this will lead to his release depends on both Nigerian government and how much weight international voices, put on the issue. That's why you see they are trying all their possible best to make, other countries be aware of how this innocent man has been detained. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. Let me know your thoughts below. And also, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button, like and share. and turn on the notification bell to be getting all the latest news in this channel. So guys, thanks for watching.